Dryland farming and dry farming are agricultural techniques for non-irrigated cultivation of crops. Dryland farming is associated with drylands, dry areas characterized by a cool wet season followed by a warm dry season. Dryland farming locations. Dryland farming is used in the Great Plains, the Palouse Plateau of eastern Washington, and other arid regions of North America such as in the southwestern United States and Mexico. See agriculture in the southwestern United States and agriculture in the prehistoric Southwest, the Middle East and in other grain-growing regions such as the steppes of Eurasia and Argentina. Dryland farming was introduced to southern Russia and Ukraine by Slavic Mennonites under the influence of Johann Cornelius, making the region the breadbasket of Europe. In Australia, it is widely practiced in all states but the Northern Territory. Dry farming locations. Dry farming may be practiced in areas that have significant annual rainfall during a wet season, often in the winter. Crops are cultivated during the subsequent dry season, using practices that make use of the stored moisture in the soil. California, Colorado and Oregon, in the United States, are three states where dry farming is practiced for a variety of crops. Dryland farming crops. Dryland farmed crops may include winter wheat, corn, beans, sunflowers or even watermelon. Successful dryland farming is possible with as little as 9 inches, 230 millimeters, of precipitation a year. Higher rainfall increases the variety of crops. Native American tribes in the arid Southwest survived for hundreds of years on dryland farming in areas with less than 10 inches, 250 millimeters, of rain. The choice of crop is influenced by the timing of the predominant rainfall in relation to the seasons. For example, winter wheat is more suited to regions with higher winter rainfall while areas with summer wet seasons may be more suited to summer-growing crops such as sorghum, sunflowers or cotton. Dry farmed crops. Dry farmed crops may include grapes, tomatoes, pumpkins, beans, and other summer crops. These crops grow using the winter water stored in the soil, rather than depending on rainfall during the growing season. Dryland farming process. Dryland farming has evolved as a set of techniques and management practices used by farmers to continually adapt to the presence or lack of moisture in a given crop cycle. In marginal regions, a farmer should be financially able to survive occasional crop failures, perhaps for several years in succession. Survival as a dryland farmer requires careful husbandry of the moisture available for the crop and aggressive management of expenses to minimize losses in poor years. Dryland farming involves the constant assessing of the amount of moisture present or lacking for any given crop cycle and planning accordingly. Dryland farmers know that to be financially successful they have to be aggressive during the good years in order to offset the dry years. Dryland farming is dependent on natural rainfall, which can leave the ground vulnerable to dust storms, particularly if poor farming techniques are used or if the storms strike at a particularly vulnerable time. The fact that a fallow period must be included in the crop rotation means that fields cannot always be protected by a cover crop, which might otherwise offer protection against erosion. Dry farming process. Dry farming depends on making the best use of the bank of soil moisture that was created by winter rainfall. Some dry farming practices include wider than normal spacing, to provide a larger bank of moisture for each plant. Controlled traffic no-till/zero-till or minimum-till strict weed control, to ensure that weeds do not consume soil moisture needed by the cultivated plants. Cultivation of soil to produce a dust mulch, thought to prevent the loss of water through capillary action. This practice is controversial, and is not universally advocated. Selection of crops and cultivars suited for dry farming practices.